Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you, as always, by the 2024 Toyota BZ4X. The BZ4X is Toyota's brand new all-electric SUV that is designed to go the distance for you and your family. The BZ4X is packed with Toyota's coolest tech, but it still has that trusty SUV feel you know and love, and even though it's electric, it's capable of effortlessly conquering any terrain, whether terrain, snow, mud, or your friends' questionable post-game recaps. The BZ4X will get you through it all. It's a remote edition of Canucks Conversation, day before a game, and we've got a lot to get to. The Canucks practice today at Bridgestone Arena. Harm, do you want to just start with Shirtgate? Seelov's shirt getting worn on the ice. You want to just start there?
Yes, definitely. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. Great place to start on this Thursday. Grady, pull up this video for those on the live stream. If you can't see it because you're on the podcast, JT Miller is wearing Archer Sheelov's like salmon color. It's got like some sort of pattern on it. He's wearing this shirt at practice at Bridgestone Arena over his pads, which my first thought was this shirt's going to be pretty big on Artur's, right? Like it's going to be pretty big on Sheelov's.
Probably, but also Sheelov is a pretty tall guy, so I am not too surprised. He might have more trouble with it if it was, say, Casey DeSmith's dress shirt there.
Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Dan Murphy, who was at practice, and he recorded that. I posted on Twitter. I love it. It's good. It's good. It's good fun. It's good rookie. I don't even want to use the word hazing, but it's a good joke. It's a good joke because it's not really rookie hazing because we saw the Connor Garland shirts, the 400th game shirts that JT Miller did. This is what JT Miller does to his teammates. And in all seriousness, it is good to see them kind of keeping things light a little bit here ahead of a pretty crucial Game 6 tomorrow.
Absolutely. Miller is seriously the biggest troll in that Canucks locker room. I mean, there's so many stories, and I mean, a couple of instances that always stand out outside of some of the stories I've already told are, like, I remember at one point last season, the media pool was all at the front of the Canucks locker room. Another player was scrumming, JT Miller, so he sits all the way in the back, and Garland was seated sort of diagonal from him, pretty far distance, and JT starts in a really sort of loud, exaggerated tone, hoping that the media pool overhears, starts talking about Garland's like quote unquote injury or whatever, something about his hand. And he's just trying to bait media into like snapping around, turning and thinking that Garland's actually hurt or something. And Garland, of course, wasn't hurt at all. And just you hear that. And I've covered JT for like 4 years by that point, so you know that he's just trolling and you know not to take the bait. But it's just little moments like that after every practice, after every morning skate. Of course, sometimes when the team's been losing, he's in more of a sour mood, but most of the time, he's always got something going on. He's always chirping somebody in the locker room. He's always pulling something off. And so it's no surprise to me that he's the one to troll Sheelov's there.
Yeah, no surprise whatsoever. And hey, I'm just saying, I think he's got something coming to him when he plays. It's his 800th game is his next game that he plays. Next regular season game is going to be number 800. Opening night for the Canucks next season. There's going to be something coming. There's going to be something coming back to JT Miller. So I like it. It was good. Quickly wanted to get this in because Andrew Christensen, regular listener of the show, asked if Faber and I were playing World of Chell last night, playing NHL 24, the video game, if we were playing it together. I said yes, and he said, you made my boys rage. So something I've done in NHL, and Faber, I don't think Faber's ever done this, but I used to always just put my real name as my character's name. Like I used to always just put David Quadrelli as my player's name. But then I started to get messages on Twitter of people being like, hey, were you playing NHL? And I'm like, I don't really want people knowing what I'm doing. What for some reason I was like, I should change it. But then I changed it back. Recently I've changed it back to my real name, and I started to get messages from people because not to brag, we're good at NHL. Like we dust everybody we play. And I've started to get messages from people like, hey, you just beat me 8-0. And it's like, hell yeah, we did. So Andrew Christensen saying that Faber and I made him, or not him, but he said we made his boys rage last night. He said, you made my friend's gaming experience not great last night. And then he says quads with sniping goals. I don't know if it was that one. Faber and I played like 3 games. I had a 5-goal game last night, Harm, and I'm pretty sure this might be the one he's talking about. So again, little off topic, but it was brought up in the chat. Had to get to it.
Well, he can't be that good because remember in after Botchford Project Night, the reunion with the Warriors game, I was up on you 1-0 with I had the Leafs and you had the Oilers, I think it was, if you had to do the randomizer thing.
Yeah.
And I was up 1-0 towards the end of the second before one of the Xbox controllers died and we didn't have an extra battery. And I don't play often. Like I played religiously as a kid growing up, but now, like, I put it this way. The newest console I own is a PlayStation 3. So you can't be that good if I'm beating you there.
I don't do the team games. I play the World of Chell, which is where you control one player on the ice, and I'm good at playing as one player. I the whole team I struggle. I do a lot of dump and chase. But yeah, and also you were the Leafs, so you were definitely gonna lose in the third period. So I'm just saying that game ended in the second. Inconclusive how that game ended. Okay, let's get on topic here, Harm. You wanted to talk about Elias Pettersson today. Very hot topic in the market right now, and you said you've got a lot for us on Elias Pettersson. So let's get to it. Let's talk about number 40 for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, so I went back and I'm working on an article. I watched back every shift of him in the playoffs so far. I did some microstat tracking. First, before I get into the takeaways, a couple of caveats. Number one, there are rumblings behind the scenes that he is playing hurt. Again, I haven't been able to officially confirm that. I'm not reporting it, but put it this way, I'd be surprised if Elias Pettersson is 100% healthy right now. Now, that's not an excuse, but just something to keep in mind as we analyze his performance so far. And then what I'll do is I've got 5 or 6 main points that I found interesting, main takeaways for why he's struggling right now. I'll go one by one through them, and you can jump in at the end of each point if you want to say something, if you want to add something, or if you want me to go to the next one. So
sounds good.
First thing, his playmaking ability to set others up for 5-on-5 shots and scoring chances has completely fallen off a cliff. I've got him tracked with just 3 passes directly setting up a shot attempts and just 2 passes directly setting up scoring chances for the entire series at 5-on-5. So right off the bat, he's not driving play. He's not creating looks for others. And so the logical follow-up is why. Now, there are several reasons for this. The first is that it seems like his innate spatial and environmental recognition is off. What I mean by that is when Pettersson's on top of his game, he has a special ability to seemingly always know where his teammates and opponents are. Because of that, he makes these quick strike, no-look passes that spring his line mates into high-danger scoring areas before the opposition can react. Right now, it feels like Pettersson's radar for detecting the precise location of his teammates and opponents is off, and it's leading to turnovers. So there was one sequence in game 1, for example, where Pettersson had the puck on the right flank on an offensive zone entry. He actually drew 2 defenders towards him. Because of that, Höglander was streaking down the middle lane on the rush, and Pettersson had an opportunity to spring him with a pass, and Höglander would have had a partial breakaway. In that situation, Pettersson, whose back was sort of towards Höglander, as he spun and made that pass, the pass was way far in front of Höglander, way ahead of him. He had no chance. And then as the Canucks regrouped, Pettersson again got the puck on the right flank on an offensive entry. Similar sort of play where Höglander was again streaking through the middle. And again, another backhand sort of no-look pass, the type that he almost always makes when he's on top of his game. This one intercepted by the defender, and then Nashville started breaking out the other way. So it's a lot of these like no-look spinning passes where Pettersson usually connects, and he's missing like all of them, right? And it was especially noticeable in games 1 and 2 at home. There was another one when he was in the offensive zone in the corner, spun and passed to literally nobody, and it went to a vacant point, and it ended the offensive zone possession. You look back at the turnover that he had that led to Colton Sissons' 3-0 goal in game 2. What was that? It was like a blind pass to nobody in the defensive zone. And so the simple solution, you might say, well, stop making those blind no-look passes, but that's the bread and butter of when he's at his best, is he executes those passes correctly, and that's how he sets up his chances. Even the 2 scoring chances that I have him down as setting up, they're both from like these no-look plays where he just knows where his winger or his teammate is without actually looking. So that's the first thing that that stands out. That's point number 1.
Okay, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but everybody's reaction to this is going to be, okay, well, how much of it is his teammates then?
Well, we'll get to that. I think this part independently is not on his line mates. Like,
okay,
in terms of his radar being off, him not knowing where his teammates are relative to his opponents, his brain is usually so sharp. He's always got that elite vision where he doesn't even need to look, and that part of him, even when his line mates are open, he's not making those passes. Now, Game 5 was a step in the right direction, and that's another thing to highlight, is for a lot of these points, he started to trend better. So, for example, he made a neat little pass in the neutral zone to Spring Mcard for a 2-on-1. Again, that was a quick little play before the opposition could react, where Pettersson didn't even really look. And those are the targets where he hasn't, consistently hit them for most of the part of the series. Now, if you get to his line mates are definitely sinking him as well. Like, it's both that Pettersson individually is not playing up to his ability, but one of the other points with several video clips that I highlighted was that, yes, his wingers are sinking him. They're making bad decisions with the puck. They're constantly turning it over. A couple of times Pettersson has been open in dangerous shooting positions and they just miss him, right? In Game 1, Lafferty had the puck coming down the left wing. He had an open east-west passing lane for Pettersson. Pettersson was loading up for a one-timer, and instead Lafferty passed it to Myers in the middle instead of making the full pass from one end of the rink to the other just because it was easy. You missed that opportunity. I think Höglander's had a tough time controlling pucks down low, hanging onto them, making productive plays. A lot of them are just dying on his stick. And again, thought Höglander looked a little bit better in Game 5, but that's been problematic to me. Now, the few times when we've seen Pettersson with Miller for a few shifts, you can instantly see the difference that upgraded line mates has, in the sense that JT is really good at making skilled plays on the wall in transition. So he draws players towards him, and then he can hit Pettersson with a pass in the middle to spring him for an offensive zone entry with possession. And so on one of those offensive zone entries, Pettersson drew a penalty. That was in Game 2, I believe. And then on another one of them, during one of the road games, Pettersson got a pretty good scoring chance off. Whereas when he's playing with McCabe and Höglander, they don't have the high-end skill and awareness to, when they have the puck on the wall on a breakout, to immediately hit Pettersson with speed streaking through the middle. And that's part of the reason why Pettersson isn't creating a lot off the rush in this series, is the wingers just aren't quick enough to hit Pettersson in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no comment from me on that one. Let's get to the next one.
Okay, sweet. Next, the precision of his finishing is off, right? So in the regular season, he hit the net on 51% of his shot attempts. So far in this series, he's got 7 shots on goal, despite having 24 shot attempts. So less than 30% of his shots are actually getting through to Saros. That includes just 1 shot on goal and 8 attempts on the power play. And again, you look at Game 1, for example, he had a great drag move to get into the slot, but then missed the net. In Game 2, his execution with time and space on the power play was terrible. I mean, we all know the empty net that he missed, but even besides that, he bobbled the puck in a dangerous spot on one play, which gave the PK enough time to recover and collapse into the shooting lane. His power play shots were getting blocked and leading to clearances. And this is another thing that stands out, is even talk about his passing. Whenever he has the puck in dangerous situations, more often than not, he's not actually translating it into a scoring chance on net, right? He either misses the pass, he gets a shot blocked, he misses the net with a shot. Even when he has the puck in a dangerous location, the precision of his next play is just off the mark right now. So that's another point. Anything you want to add there?
No, I'm just like, I'm reading the chat, and I don't want to give you everything the chat's saying, but one thing, I like this one. Payday causing issues? I don't think it's that. I don't think
No.
it has anything to do with that. I don't question whether Elias Pettersson cares or not personally. And I know you got 5 points and I don't want to derail the conversation, but me personally, I don't question whether Elias Pettersson cares or not.
Yeah, I don't either. I will say, like, the two other points that I had, number one, sloppy puck handling and dekes. Part of the reason when the Canucks get set up in the offensive zone, why he's not as involved offensively, is because he's stuck to the perimeter with the puck. And the reason he's stuck to the perimeter is because normally when he's on top of his game, Pettersson has an ability to make that tight maneuver to beat a defender, to get to the inside, to create some space. Right now, all of his dekes are getting checked. He's sloppy handling it. He can't get to the inside. And so that's why when the Canucks even do get set up for an offensive zone possession, so often he seems like a complementary player on the line rather than when the Canucks have an offensive zone possession with the Miller line, for example, on the ice. It's like Miller's commanding puck possession. He's able to sort of skate laps, whether it's up high or down low. He's able to find seams. His dekes are off. And then the other thing, again, massive improvement in this area in game 5. But for the first 4 games, I thought he's been lacking urgency, oomph, and heaviness hunting for the puck in both ends. Like whether it's been 50-50 wall battles, I don't think he's been heavy enough. I don't think he's been creating enough turnovers as a second or third man in on the forecheck. Down low situations where I'm like, I want you to hold on to the puck, but he gets bumped and loses possession. That's been a concern. And game 5, he was much better, and you immediately saw the differences. He set up two chances, not with his playmaking or his passing, but because he forced a turnover once in the first period on the forecheck, and then late with 2 minutes left, he was so quick hustling and closing down on Jeremy Lauzon, and that freed the puck up for Miller to set up Besser all alone, which Saros robbed him on. So that's another area that I'm looking for improvement on. But I guess the big takeaway as we go through 6 or 7 of these points is that Pettersson's off in so many little departments. It's not just one big thing, right? It's not one big fix that you look at and go, well, if you can fix his passing, then everything is going to come together. It's all of these little areas, his processing and decision making with the puck, his vision, his puck handling and dekes, his finishing, his line mates, his ability to hunt the puck, even his skating. You look at NHL Edge data, it shows that his speed is slightly down compared to last season. So it's the aggregation of all of these small areas that lead to a large cumulative effect of him mostly looking invisible and ineffective.
Syndicate in the chat saying 0 intensity. And the one thing that I want to say about what you just said, Harm, the puck battles and not being heavy on the puck. I think that's a really good way to put it. He's just going down so easily, He, any sort of contact, he's going down. And yes, he initiates it sometimes, but man, you got to be stronger on your skates at the end of the day.
No doubt. And again, that's why game 5 was the first time where you were like, okay, from a physical standpoint, from a battle level standpoint, that's what you want to see, right? That's the level that he has to play at to be more impactful. The finishing still wasn't there. The bottom line production wasn't there. You're going to need that in game 6. Or if they get to game 7, you're going to need it there too. But in the absence of, like, put it this way, Pettersson doesn't have the speed or the dominant physical frame to bully guys from a physical perspective. Like, he doesn't have McDavid or McKinnon speed. He leans on his brain and the precision of his technical skills to do his offensive damage. When his calibration is off in those areas, then he needs to be more assertive away from the puck. He needs to be more impactful, again, forcing turnovers, holding on to pucks, to at least make sure you're helping the team in some other way, even if you're not creating scoring chances every shift.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else before we get to Dave?
No, those were the main points that I sort of identified.
Good stuff as always. People are interacting in the chat. We'll get to some more. I'm sure Petey's going to come up again. In anyone else, we'll get to it. But let's get to Dave, who is brought to you by our friends over at Four Winds Brewing, more specifically their featherweight IPA. If you're looking for a nice hoppy beer but still want something light and flavorful, then look no further than the Four Winds Featherweight IPA at just 4.5%. This incredibly light IPA is packed full of tropical and citrusy goodness. Available now at liquor stores across BC or through the Four Winds online shop for home delivery anywhere in BC at fourwindsbrewing.ca. Beautiful can. As always, love the can art over at Four Winds Brewing, locally owned and operated in Delta. Check them out at fourwindsbrewing.ca. All right, let's bring him in. Dave Hall joins us with the Abbotsford Canucks in the second round of the playoffs. And Dave, I'm not going to ask you about that first. I need to ask you about Jonathan Lekaramaki won the Elite Prospects Award, and it's my understanding that our pal JD Burke over at Elite Prospects wasn't the one who handed it out. It's just called the Elite Prospects Award.
Yes, you got that right.
Okay, so tell me about that award.
Yeah, it's just an award that it's been going on since 2013, and it's awarded to the top junior in the SHL. And this year, with a bullet, he topped out his teammate, his longtime teammate there, Noah Uslan, and it was not too much of a surprise. He led the way in goals, points. Was the MVP of his own team, so it's not too much of a shock. But just added to just another accolade to the long list this year.
Okay, Dave, we're gonna get you to switch your mic real quick because we got you. We got you a new mic. We got you a new mic, right? So we gotta get it set up. No, it's not working. You just gotta go to settings. You'll figure it out. While he does that, Harm, I want to talk about Jonathan Lekaramaki because Dave wrote this article yesterday at Canucks Army, and he was talking about the guys who have won this award before Jonathan Lekaramaki, and man, oh man, it is a list. Like Elias Pettersson's won the award. It is a list of players. Like here, I'll literally go through it because Dave listed them year by year. There are some seriously good names on this list. And 2013, William Karlsson. 2014, Alex Wenberg. 2015, Axel Holmstrom. 2016, Gustav Forsling. Ever heard of him? 2017, Joel Erikssonek. 2018, Elias Pettersson, the Elias Pettersson with the Vancouver Canucks. Well, I guess that actually doesn't narrow it down, but the forward, Elias Pettersson won it. 2019, Emil Benstrom. 2020, Niels Lundqvist. 2021, Moritz Seider. 2022, Simone Edvinsson. 2023, Leo Carlsson. And yes, 2024, Jonathan Lekaramaki, who, man, like, he had such a good season. And given the context of last season, right, where it was a disappointing draft plus 1 year, no matter how you slice it. Like, you can stay positive. There was I don't even want to call it an excuse, but there was the context of, okay, he had mono, he had all these different issues. There's all that context that goes into it. But for him to bounce back the way that he did last year, especially when you're seeing Logan Stankoven doing what he's doing right now, it's a really, really good sign for Jonathan Lekaramaki to put together the season that he just did.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't see this type of bounce back coming, right? Of course, it started towards the end of last season in the Allsvenskan playoffs when it looked like he was hurt, probably wasn't going to play. Then he ended up playing and had a strong playoffs. But at that point, you're thinking, sure, you hope he can build some momentum off that. You need the following year to be a bounce back campaign, but you're not sure, right? To be totally honest, because yeah, it's a great playoff run, but it's a small sample relative to a season where overall he didn't produce at the level that we all expected in the Allsvenskan. Then he moves up to the SHL this season, and for him to absolutely break out with 19 goals in 46 games, on top of that, the performance we saw from him at the World Junior Championships, he's evolved a lot as a player, not just as a goal scorer. We've mentioned this before. He's rounded out his game in terms of how he works away from the puck, how he hunts on the forecheck. He's shown confidence even to power his goal scoring, right? It's not just the shot. It's learning how to go from a player that is just a perimeter sniper to how do I find ways to get to the inside so that I actually play a scoring style that's going to translate at higher levels? Because this is one thing that a lot of scouts look for is translatability, because some guys will put up numbers in juniors or lower pro levels, but the caveat will be he's doing a lot of his damage from the perimeter. Is that going to translate at the NHL level where goaltenders are so good and it's hard to beat goalies cleanly from distance? It's not just the goal totals themselves, it's how he's scoring, where he's learned how to drive into the middle. He's shown a new level of swagger and confidence, carrying the puck with his handles. He's looked quicker out of the gates as a skater. That's what gives you confidence that, okay, this is a player that could translate his talent to the North American level, instead of just, oh, he's putting up a ton of goals from perimeter. And look, he's still had those types of goals too. He's been deadly from the power play from that one-timer side. But the World Juniors showed that he could drive to the inside, play a style of game that's going to translate to North American ice as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just the context of his draft 1 year. Like you mentioned, it wasn't even the NHL, it was the junior league. 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists through 29 games.
It wasn't the junior league, it was the second-tier pro league.
Excuse me. Yeah, Allsvenskan. And then he played like, what was it, 4 games or something in the junior league? He played some in the junior league, but the Allsvenskan, yes, that's what I meant exactly. The second-tier league. Not where you want to be making your production, especially when you're lacking production like that, but a great year for him in the SHL. Okay, let's bring Dave back in. And yes, Chaz pointed out, we got a brand new mic for Dave. We're hoping it's working. I think so. Yeah, I think that's... Is it good, Grady? It's kind of like loud.
Did it work?
Grady, you got to tell us if this is it working?
If not, I'll turn it off.
Oh no, I think we're good. Back up a little. Just back up a little from the mic.
We're good.
Okay. It'll be good.
That's
It'll be
crazy.
good. It'll be good.
It was working completely fine before we started. Anyways.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of shaky again.
It is shaky again. I don't know what to do. What kind of mic did we get, Dave? Did we get him a bad mic, Grady?
How about that?
That's better. That sounded better,
Yeah,
right?
we'll just go like that for today.
Okay.
Crazy.
That'll do.
So,
Okay.
0 for 3.
Dave, I got to ask you about the Abby playoff run here. Really not watching it, to be honest with you. I've read the Farmies because those go up on Canucks Army. But what's going on in the Abbotsford playoff run?
Yeah, I mean, they made it past Colorado, which is nice. Was it a perfect series? Probably not if it wasn't for the hero and Zach. But it happens with those games, they were outshot all 3 games. So we'll see how it goes. But, overall, they're in the second round. They couldn't have a better matchup in the second round than Ontario Reign. Literally everything from their season split, 4 wins each, their goals against, their shots against, everything was basically right on par with each other. So you can't really, ask for much more of an even series. But if they're here, one thing that I'm still looking for them, and this was even the case in the regular season, is that a lot of their offense, or lack thereof, I guess you could say, comes from the perimeter. Almost like, what we talk about Lekaramaki, how he's got to get into that middle of the ice. The Abbotsford Canucks got to get into the middle of the ice. And a lot of their plays come from the outside, and they try to get really, really fancy with it. And it just kind of shows in the playoffs where, they kind of get squeezed to the outside, and they just don't have those players, with the exception of a few, that can really make that difference. And you noticed it last night when Vasily Podkolzin gets embedded into the lineup. He comes in, he's instantly driving to the net. He basically, he understands the assignment. He knows that if he wants to get those rebounds, he's got to cut into the net. And with the exception of, someone like a Max Hassan or someone like that, that's not really something we've seen a lot of with Abbotsford. So that's one thing I'm always concerned about. But otherwise, Zach Sawchenko, might as well be Sawchuk, has just been lights out. So
you mentioned a few of Abbotsford's players at least being able to buck that trend, get to the inside, create some offense. Who are some of the offensive standouts? Like I see that Archie Baines has been really productive in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, you can't not say Archie Baines. He's been their guy all season long. You know, he's their guy. Whenever someone's slumping, you put Archie Baines on, and he's contributing. So he's doing all the offensive work. But I can't not say Max Sasson. On a game by game basis, shift by shift almost, he's always the one that's driving the play. He's a natural center. He's grinding for every single puck. His wheels are incredible. As soon as he builds up that speed from his own zone, good luck trying to stop this kid, because he just goes, and he's just got the drive to go to the net. So while RC Baines has been fantastic, he's the MVP, you know, he's got all these points, it's great. Max Sasson, just for me, I'm constantly drawn into his play, and I just really have this feeling that type of style is going to, like, Tocchet's going to love that kind of player. So for me, it's just always Max Sasson, and you know, you got to give it to RC Baines, but Max Sasson's been one of my low key favorites for this season.
Do you think Sasson, whether it's next season or perhaps even the year after, can contend for an NHL roster spot, especially as the Canucks enter a phase where in the offseason they may not be able to keep all of their bottom six forwards?
I mean, I definitely think, you know, does he make it next year? Who knows? We'll see who they bring in, if they do bring in anyone. But, you know, he definitely checks off all the boxes that I'm looking for. He's a natural center. He's decent at the faceoff zone. He plays the Tocchet type of hockey where he's not taking shifts off. He's got speed. Like, he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest player on the team. So he's got all the intangibles that could take him there. It's just a matter of, you know, does it fit with the lineup or not? So, you know, do I want to say that he's going to make the team out of camp next year? Not. We'll see. You know, he'll be the judge of that. But definitely within 2 years, I don't see why not. I wouldn't be shocked if they want to keep him down and, you know, let him stew for one more season to really take that next level next season. Because, you know, he's got a lot of points this year, specifically at 5-on-5. But it's not like he, you know, knocked the socks off this year. So maybe bringing him back for one more year to be that guy would help him out. But I don't see any reason why he couldn't. He's got all the intangibles to do so.
Okay, Dave. I don't want to ask you flat out and make it a super pointed question, but Danilo Klimek, it's topical. Yeah. We're all seeing what Logan Stankoven is doing with the Dallas Stars in the playoffs. There was a lot of fans saying that they should have taken Stankoven on the day of the draft. This isn't hindsight. This just looks like one of Jim Benning's final blunders as Canucks general manager. Klimek is never going to live up to that draft hype, and he's never going to outplay Stankoven. I think that's becoming clear. But, like, what do you look at for Danilo Klimek right now? Like, what can he become? Give me his ceiling right now. Like, what can Danilo Klimek become in a best case scenario? What do you think he's going to become, you know, at the end of the day?
Yeah, like, it's tough because you can't really go off of much this season. He's played in one game since early March, and we have to assume, I've talked to quite a few people that are close with the team, and by all accounts, he's around walking, he's healthy. So it just appears like they're pretty good at being hush-hush, but by all accounts, he's healthy out there. And so, you know, he's been in 24 games this season, but that's also being a little bit generous, because even in those games, with the exception of a couple stretches of maybe 6 or 7, he's been glued to the fourth line. And while they don't show stats for minutes, I would assume they're under 10 because you don't see him out there. He wasn't catching power play time. So it's kind of one of those seasons where you can't even really see how like what's happening, what's going wrong. In the times that he has played, I can tell you that while I don't want to call a professional hockey player uninterested, he just doesn't seem to have that emotion that he typically plays with. When Klimek is at his best, he's a pest out there. He's playing with a lot of emotion, at times too much emotion that gets him into trouble. But, you know, at least he's out there throwing his body around, doing what he can to create havoc. And this year, even in the games that he's played, it just hasn't been there. Like, there seems to be just a lack of that fire that we saw so much of last season. And I mean, truth be told, what Stankoven brings, he brings that fire. And that's kind of what you were hoping for Klimovich, because not that they play a similar style, but Klimovich does have that water bug in him, and it just hasn't come around this season. So whether it's a lack of confidence, and now, I mean, obviously the confidence can't be lower than this. He's been glued to the press box. So, he's just an unconfident player. Let's hope that somehow during the offseason he can somehow rekindle that, because we know, like, at the ceiling, he has the potential to be, power play sharpshooter. He's got an incredible release. He can score goals. He's a pest on the puck. So if he can somehow rekindle some of that, that emotion into his game, I think he could, down the line above, like a ceiling, be, a middle six energy type player. But again, that's being pretty generous, but that is what he can be done. If he can get that emotion back into his game, he does have those elements in his game that could bring that third line grinder type of play and maybe chip in with a goal here and there. But as of right now, it's just sort of a, check back and hope, and check back next year. You know what I mean? It's been a tough season. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
When you look at a couple of the bigger named deep prospects on that blue line in Abbotsford, Cole McWard, who it's easy to forget now that he made the team out of camp, the main Canucks team out of camp, and looked like he might play some NHL games. And of course, Elias Pettersson coming over from Sweden. What have you seen from those two defensemen so far?
Yeah, so with McWard, I mean, if you've been following me on Canucks Army this year, you know that I'm, and it's not because I think he's going to be, an NHL All-Star, but I really like what McWard has brought, and I do think he has some sort of serviceable, whether it's a 5, 6, 7, even just, that fringe kind of Friedman type player. But he brings a nice versatile game where he's not flashy, he's not going to get a ton of points, but he just doesn't make too many mistakes out there, and he just gets the job done. He's good on the penalty kill, he's a decent enough skater. So for me, all season, it's been Cole McWard. If there was anyone that was going up and down, I would have always liked to see McWard. I just think he just brings just an all-around versatile game that's good for, at most maybe a bottom 6, but definitely something there. Now with Elias Pettersson, unfortunately, he's drawn out of the lineup for the playoffs, and I kind of attribute that just to experience, and they've got some good experience for the playoffs here, so he's kind of been the odd man out. But I mean, it's hard to argue what he's done on the ice so far. He's pretty much come as advertised. He's playing hard-nosed hockey. He's a bully out there, always making sure that his opponent's night is a living hell. So he's brought everything that we anticipated, and maybe even a little bit more. We're anticipating maybe some sort of hiccups in the transition, but other than kind of adjusting to the speed of some of the forwards coming in on him, getting caught flat-footed a little bit, he's been great. And I wouldn't expect him to be jumping up to the NHL next year. Maybe if he's really come out midway through the season, maybe he gets a shot midway through the season. But I would definitely anticipate him staying in Abbotsford for next year, just to really acclimate to that speed. But aside from that, I really liked what Elias Pettersson has brought to the game.
Dave, how confident are you in Zach Sawchenko to win the Conn Smythe this year?
26-year-old, 79 games before this, I think. He's never been in a pro playoff game, so he's taking them all the way. He's going all the way.
He, in all seriousness, he's doing a really good job in Abbotsford, right?
He's doing more than a really good job. Like I said, I don't think Abbotsford wins that first series. Well, no, they don't win the first series if it wasn't for him. He's been pretty much their first star every single game in these playoffs. And even last night when they lost 3-1, he's still a deciding factor. And in that game 3, game 7, game 3, he made 47 saves, stood on his head, not even just 47 saves, 47 really good saves. So he's been all that and more, to be honest. I don't think you can ask much more, especially for a guy that came in getting his first start in mid-March, 6 starts in the regular season. So I don't know. You can't ask for much more.
No, you cannot. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was like 47 saves. That's insane. Anyways, Dave, thanks so much for joining us, man. We always appreciate it.
Sorry about the mic, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
For sure, man. Yeah, appreciate it. Dave Hall. There he is, Dave Hall. And we got the mic figured out. No need to feel bad.
Smooth recovery.
People were asking if we got the mic on AliExpress. Okay. What do we got to do next? Okay, yeah, our poll question. I wanted to get to this, and I put out another poll question, Harm. Yeah, let me pull it up. Let me make sure I have it pulled up, because we're clipping these. We're putting these on social media. I came up with this idea. I'm happy. I'm happy I came up with this idea, because the idea I had is we'll do the poll question and then we will put it on social media, and then people who don't even watch the show and just see our social media clips, they get to have a vote too, and they get to tell us their thoughts. So let's get to our poll question. Yeah, there it is. It's time now for our poll question, brought to you by Mr. Lube. Here it is. With Game 6 tomorrow, how will this series end? Harm, Vancouver in 6, Vancouver in 7, Nashville in 7. Right now, 76.1% of voters saying Vancouver in 6, 11.1% saying Vancouver in 7, 12.7. The second highest vote in this poll, Harm. Nashville in 7, 12.7% of voters say. Look, man, I'm going with it. I said Van in 5. I'm saying Van in 6. I'm sticking with it. Harm, your prediction.
So I'll be honest. My prediction is just Vancouver winning. I can't tell you if it's going to be Game 6. I can't tell you if it's going to be Game 7. I still believe that they're going to come through in the series. They've got 2 more cracks at it. And the biggest reason that gives me optimism outside of the rosters on paper, X's and O's, even from an on-ice perspective, again, is I haven't seen panic from this group. They stay calm. They stay level-headed. Again, I go back to the practice before Game 3 where they had just lost Game 2. They just got the news not too long ago, of course, that Thatcher Demko was going to miss significant time, was going to be out for the first round of the series. That's a massive blow. And yet the spirits were pretty high. They kept it lighthearted. Yet they were also focused, of course. It's not to say they were just joking around, but the vibe hadn't taken a downward trend. There was no wavering in their belief. And I think that matters for a group that hasn't had a lot of playoff experience and is now going to be facing some level of pressure, right? You go up 3-1 in a series, you're the team that finished higher in the standings. There is some level of expectation that you're going to get the job done. Again, seeing how JT Miller is keeping the mood light at practice today, I think these are good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. Salmon shirt power. Someone in the chat said it. That was our poll question, brought to you by Mr. Lube. Need a tire change or tire service? Mr. Lube provides no appointment tire service and sales. Drop by anytime for tire rotation, tire repair, and balancing. Servicing all makes and models, including electric vehicles. With 16 locations in the Lower Mainland, find one near you at mrlube.com. All right, I like it, Harm. Good vibes. Good vibes only. We'll be back tomorrow to break it all down, but let's get to anyone else, which is presented by the Vancouver Canadians. I know I screwed you up yesterday, so I'll take this ad read. I felt so bad about that, but let's get to anyone else. Brought to you by the Vancouver Canadians. The Seas are back at the Nat. Catch fireworks, giveaways, Friday nooners, and superstar appearances all spring and summer long. Get your tickets at CanadiansBaseball.com. The Seas are giving away a record 33 giveaways this season. This includes 6 koozies giveaways for the first 6 Saturdays of the season from all of their beer partners, and a giveaway every Sunday for Family Fun Sunday for kids 12 and under. The Canadians are back at the Nat on Tuesday, May 7th for a full homestand that includes a superstar appearance from Marco Estrada on the 7th, a nooner at the Nat on the 10th, and a Family Fun Sunday on the 12th, where kids 12 and under can run the bases. For tickets, call 604-872-5232 or go to CanadiansBaseball.com. Harvey, I'm not going to lie to you. Quiet chat today. Somewhat quiet chat. A lot of comments about Dave's mic, but somewhat quiet chat today. I get the sense, Harm, that Canucks fans are kind of in this wait and see period. I don't think people want to hear. I mean, there's people that listen to the show, obviously, so they do to some extent, but I think most people don't want to hear overanalyzation of this series. I think they just want it to be over. I think they just want it to be on to the next round. And we saw last night, Edmonton punched their ticket to the second round by taking down the LA Kings. The Canucks fans just want to know, and the Canucks as well to some extent, the Canucks fans just want to know how this ends. Like, they want their team to win, obviously, but it's almost like ripping off a Band-Aid. They want it to be over. They want this series to be over. Obviously, they're hoping for a Canucks victory, but man, I get the sense that Canucks fans just want this to be over. They don't care right now. They don't want to hear us analyzing this series. They just want it to be over.
Well, it's also just you're so emotionally invested as a fan on a game day, right? You put everything, you put your soul into it. It determines whether or not you go to bed at night happy or just in frustration and in anger. It takes so much out of a fan that the next day you just I feel like you don't want to consume a lot of Canucks content on an off day, right? Just because you need to recover to a certain extent. That's kind of the vibe that that I get, and it's totally understandable because these fans are living and dying based off these games. Put it this way: a Canucks game day in the playoffs, like the Canucks become the number one thing that preoccupies most fans' mind. It's appointment viewing. It's all that. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see what the chat's saying about this. Oh, we're already getting the Edmonton predictions. The predictions about Edmonton in round 2. I'm at the point now, and hey, like I know I said Canucks in 5. I know I said all this. I'm at the point now where I refuse to start previewing the next series. There's no way I'm doing
that's
that.
bad
There's no
vibes.
chance. This series, we said it yesterday, it's a coin flip. These games have all been a coin flip, and hey, I know our science experiment kind of proved it yesterday that it's impossible to get 3 in a row. But we've seen the Toronto Maple Leafs play hockey. They defy all science. They defy all logic. So with that, let's quickly get to our Bet365 bet of the day, which, as you may have guessed, folks, pretty simple. I'm sticking with it here. I'm sticking with it. Our Bet365 bet of the day is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Canucks Conversation. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the sport, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Be sure to use code VANBONUS when you sign up for an account. Okay, our bet of the day, Boston Bruins to cover the spread, minus 1.5. I'm spotting them 2 goals. Bruins to win by 2 or more goals tonight at plus 210 odds. I like that. I like that a lot. I think they dropped the hammer down. A home game for the Leafs is basically a road game in the toughest barn to play in. They don't have Austin Matthews. I'm going with the Bruins tonight to win by 2.
You may be underrating the possibility that the most Leafs outcome for the script would be for them to win game 6 in heroic fashion, just like they won game 5, to give their fan base some hope and then come crumbling, crashing down in game 7.
You're
Like,
right. I might. Yeah.
You have to. Here's the thing. If they lose game 6, it's not a massive disappointment because they're already down 3-1. It would take them getting back to 3-3. It's like a roller coaster. You first got to go all the way up before you let the drop go down. You can't just go halfway up, halfway down. It's not the same level of pain for Leafs fans.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right there. You might be right there. So if you choose to play, please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus. Okay. Oh, I like this. This is a good question. It's a slam dunk answer too. Ty David, who wins a championship first, the Leafs or PWHL Toronto? PWHL Toronto by a landslide. Like not even a question. Not even a question. I know the Leafs are in the playoffs every year, but PWHL Toronto, first of all, there's fewer teams in the PWHL. And second of all, they're not the Leafs. So they might do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it before the Leafs do. That is for damn sure. Okay, quickly, I wanted to get this in anyone else. With Edmonton taking down LA, a lot of conversations about what went wrong for the LA Kings. Second best penalty kill in the NHL during the regular season. Oilers were operating at 50% in that series on the power play. So not previewing a second round series, all I'm saying is that the Edmonton Oilers power play is very, very good, and it is clicking at the right time of year right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 5-on-5 numbers and whether it was shots, chances, goals for and against, LA and Edmonton, they were practically neck and neck heading into last night's game 5. But it's just special teams where LA, like, I don't think you could lose the special teams margin by a greater discrepancy if you tried. Like, they got murdered there. It wasn't just that their penalty kill got absolutely lit up, but their power play was woeful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't lose a special team battle like that. You just can't. And hey, not previewing round 2, but whoever, whether it's Nashville or Vancouver, neither team in this series, their special teams haven't been great, either team. So that's a daunting task for whoever advances to the second round. I refuse to preview preview a series between the Canucks and Oilers. We're not doing that. We're not doing that on this show. Okay. Let's get to this one because it's also topical on this. You see this today? The buyout conversations. Pierre-Luc Dubois, buy him out. Harman, I didn't even start these conversations. I didn't even put it out there. I saw it all over Twitter. People talking about, should the Kings buy out Pierre-Luc Dubois? The answer is absolutely yes. Get him on a league minimum deal. Don't put this guy on your team. I've said it all year long. What do you think? Like, are they going to buy out Pierre-Luc Dubois?
I'd be surprised, just because all it would take is one bounce back year to get to the point, I feel like, where you could bet on at least one general manager being potentially interested if LA retains a bit of money. And at that point, if you're, let's say, retaining $1 million or $1.5 million, and you actually get something in return for Dubois, I'd rather bet on that than immediately pulling the trigger on a buyout. Right? Like, and maybe that bites you in the ass because he has another horrifically bad season, but Dubois never been a 40-point player. Like, this is, as far as it gets, it's rock bottom. And if we've learned anything from watching other players around the league, right? Look at even like a Brock Besser, when the Canucks were trying to get rid of him at an all-time low. Like, sometimes you just hang on, and a player, if they have a track record of better production, they do bounce back. Is he going to bounce back to the point where he's worth that contract? No. Is that trade a disaster? Absolutely yes. But I'm not sure that I'd go the buyout route this summer.
I think he just needs a few more coaches, and I don't know. Maybe it'll get warmer in LA. Maybe he can like the weather a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know what he needs. Let's ask him. We should ask him. Okay. I was curious though, in the context of the LA Kings, and of course they're in the Pacific Division. I saw this from Tyler Yaremchuk, our colleague over at Oilers Nation, and I think he was bang on. He was talking about how the Kings still have some stuff in the pipeline, and he didn't talk about this specifically, but they do still have some stuff coming in the pipeline. But like that core with Anze Kopitar and Philip Deneau obviously isn't as old. I think Philip Deneau's going to be 32 next year, something like that. Like Philip Deneau's early 30s, if memory serves. But like your captain Anze Kopitar is not getting younger. Drew Doughty is not getting younger. Is it time for the Kings to try to get ahead of a rebuild?
No. I think you bet on Brandt Clark being the next successor as your offensive-oriented top pair right-handed defenseman of the future. He was terrific in the American League this year. I expect that he'll be a full-time player for the next season, and he's a top 10 pick, like an elite prospect. You're betting on him to eventually take the reins from Drew Doughty as your number one defenseman. So you've got a potential successor for Doughty there. And even for Kopitar, this was a massive breakout year for Quinton Byfield, and this is going to be his team. I think the success of LA's future hinges on, can Byfield become a star? He's still exceptionally young, especially relative to the year that he was drafted. He was a younger birthday. Does he have another couple of years to reach? Because if he hits that legit star status, I think that helps take some of the burden off Kopitar, because really what the Kings need more than anything is they need more star talent, right? They have an abundance of good players in the middle of their lineup. They don't have enough top of the lineup difference makers, and that's what they need their pipeline with Byfield and Clark to produce. But it's tough too, right? Because every year you run into Edmonton, and it's like the worst stylistic matchup when you're a team that doesn't have star power and plays a high octane offense. So What I do wonder is if this is it for Rob Blake as general manager of the Kings. Like, they've lost 3 times in a row in the first round now. The Dubois trade has been a disaster. That was your big swing. They didn't address goaltending. That's another area that they need to fix. I wonder if Rob Blake is going to have to pay for it with his job.
Yeah, I wonder the same thing. And I wonder who would come in to replace him. We've obviously heard Mark Bergevin thrown around on social media, but I was trying to look at, like, when did the Kings season go to crap? Was it January?
That sounds about right. December, January.
January 3rd, they placed Tobias Bjornfoot on waivers. So I'm just saying, man, if you put Tobias Bjornfoot on waivers, you're gonna get punished for it. Because then you think about it, Vegas claims him. Boom, what does Vegas do? Immediately puts him back on waivers on March 7th. Then he's claimed by the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers have kept on to this asset who's picked up. I don't know if you knew this, Tobias Bjornfoot's got Lady Bing votes in the past. The Florida Panthers hang on to him. How are the Panthers doing right now? Pretty damn good. Just saying.
Terrific. Yeah. I mean, you can't deny the correlation there. There's clearly something there. And not just Bing votes in the past. I wonder if certain somebody will give him Bing votes in the future as well.
Dude, who knows? You never know, right? Because, keep playing at a high level like that. And yeah, like, since we're on the topic of that, I do wonder if moves like that cost Rob Blake his job. I would absolutely love if that was the conversation. There's like, Rob, we really like Tobias Bjornfoot. I don't know if you knew this. He's picked up a Lady Bing vote in the past. Why are we letting go guys who have been voted for awards before? Why are we letting them go on waivers? Look at what the Panthers are doing in the playoffs with him in their depth. Good teams have good depth, Rob. What are you doing? I'd love it if that was cited as a reason. I'm citing it as a reason if Rob Blake loses his job.
Owner quads wouldn't have let it get to this point. It would have been like, you put him on waivers. All right, I'm putting you on waivers as general manager of the team.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of which, stuff around the league, this Rod Brind'Amour stuff, hey? Hell of a time for Rod Brind'Amour news to come out. The report from Kevin Weeks that the Carolina Hurricanes had a offer for Rod Blake. Wait, what am I saying? No, Rod Brind'Amour. I'm getting them mixed up. Rod Brind'Amour. They had an offer for their head coach on the table, and then they pulled it off the table. They took it off the table. And it looks like Rod Brind'Amour might be headed to another team. We don't know. There's obviously a vacancy with the Seattle Kraken, who fired Dave Hackstall last week. We haven't even had time to talk about any of this because we've been so dialed in on the Canucks series. And Grady just told me to check Darren Drager's latest tweet. So let's see what that is. Carolina Hurricanes aren't interested in allowing coveted coach Rod Brind'Amour to investigate the open market. In the past 24 hours, the two sides have come together. And it looks encouraging. Extension will get done.
I was going to say, this is classic posturing. I feel like when you're at the end, when you're sort of getting close to coming to a contract, because I've never, ever gotten the feeling that Brind'Amour wants to coach anywhere other than Carolina. Yeah. I'd be shocked if he ever leaves.
He's synonymous. Like, he's synonymous with them at this point, right? Like,
he just loves it there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe BC boy comes back home. I don't know. One day.
Yeah, add him to the list with Sidney Crosby.
Do you think Rick Tocchet... okay, so Rick Tocchett's going to get a contract extension, obviously, right? Like, you don't win the Jack Adams award, have the team playing the way they are. How long? And I mean, it's crazy to ask this in the middle of a playoff run, so we won't do it. But I have wondered, because, like, Rick Tocchet is now the longest tenured coach in the Pacific Division. Did you know that?
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that.
Think about it. Well, Jay Woodcroft's out. Like, hold on. We just have to look at who is the head coach of each team. Or wait, who is in? No, Dallas Eakins was the coach of the Ducks at the time, right? Every coach has been fired in the Pacific Division. Rick Tocchet is the longest tenured. I'm right about this, I think.
I think you are as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly double check standings. But...
Absolutely. I'm 100% right. Because Dave Hackstall was the longest one before Tocchet. Second longest. Okay, Grady said second longest. Grady, who's the longest? Who am I missing? Like, oh wait, wasn't Dallas Eakins the coach of the Ducks? Because David Quinn's been fired in San Jose. So who's the longest? Who am I missing? Craig Conroy was after. Or was Conroy before? That might be it.
Conroy's the GM, dude.
Oh yeah, it's Ryan Huska or whatever his name is, right?
I'm having an embarrassingly tough time finding the Pacific Division standings so I can see
Dude,
the teams.
I think he's the longest. Grady, you can't
but what
just say
about
second.
Bruce
longest.
Cassidy.
What he was after? Wasn't he
Are you
after?
sure? I don't. No,
Didn't
because
Bruce
Tucker came in mid-season, dude.
Oh, okay. Cassidy is the longest.
Cassidy was there.
Yeah. Okay, Cassidy's the longest. No, he's not. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Okay. Yes, he is.
Are you gonna change your mind another 5 times?
I might. I literally have to look it up. Because Cassidy came in 22. Well, I guess he was hired in the off season. Yeah, no, okay. Yeah. Okay, it is. It's Cassidy. Bruce Cassidy is the longest. The chat spamming Cassidy while I'm not looking at it. Anyways, just a thought I had. Grady was correct. Yeah, Brandon Narayan said at least 8 times he said Cassidy, and then he said this is painful, damn it, because he was trying to get our attention. But anyways,
well, dude, half the time you bring like back to back, you brought up the Brindamore thing and it wasn't right, and then you brought up like half the time you bring something up and it's not even accurate.
It's Canucks conversation, baby. That's how we do things.
Well, at least we solve it on the fly most of the time.
That's right. And usually we don't disgrace people who have passed away in tragic accidents or disgrace the dead. We usually don't do that. That happened like twice in our 4 years doing this show. So, you know what? It's been pretty good. It's pretty good when we come up with stuff on the fly. I think it's part of the charm. I honestly think it's part of the charm. Okay, Zest, cool it. Zest in the chat. Cassidy came in 2022. It's not even close. Yeah, it's close. It's the same season. Like, it's the same season. Just talk it was a mid-season hire. So anyways. All right. We'll close out there. I already got the Bet365 bet of the day in. Final thoughts, Harm? Anything you wanted to get to?
Nope.
What a show. What a show on this Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow to break down tomorrow's game between the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. But for now, we will sign off. For my co-host, Harman Dial, our technical producer, Grady Sass. My name is Dave Jelly. Thank you so much for listening to the episode of the Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation with Harman and Quads brought to you by the Toyota BZ4X. The BZ4X's fresh look is just an added bonus to its range since you can drive up to 406 kilometers on a single charge. That's enough to get you from Kitsilano to Whistler or Kamloops to Kelowna and back and still be home in time for the game. Now that's what we'd call electric. The best part, by choosing electric, you can get up to $11,000 in rebates and incentives. The BZ4X are in stock and selling quickly, so make sure to visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer to get your hands on one. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.